America has seen many political scandals, but what is unfolding now around Donald Trump and the MAGA movement feels different. This time, it is not just about exaggeration or controversial statements. It is about a carefully constructed political con that is designed to keep millions of people emotionally locked into fear, anger, and blind loyalty. Donald Trump has always understood one thing better than most politicians: attention is power. From the moment he entered politics, he stopped playing by traditional rules. He didn't rely on policy depth or bipartisan appeal. Instead, he built a brand. A brand fueled by outrage, grievance, and a constant narrative that he alone was the victim of a corrupt system. The latest MAGA con follows the same playbook but with higher stakes. Trump reminds his supporters, again and again, that America is being stolen from them. He claims elections are rigged, courts are corrupt, and the media is lying. But what he never explains clearly is how every single institution somehow conspires against him, yet he remains wealthy, powerful, and endlessly visible. This contradiction is the first red flag. If the system is truly rigged, how does Trump always benefit from it? The truth is uncomfortable for many MAGA supporters because it forces them to question something deeper than politics. It forces them to question trust. Trump's speeches are no longer about solutions. They are about survival. He speaks as if America is on the edge of collapse and only his return can save it. Fear becomes the currency. Fear of immigrants. Fear of Democrats. Fear of elites. Fear of the future. Fear keeps people loyal. Behind the scenes, this fear translates into fundraising emails, donations, merchandise sales, and political influence. Every indictment, every court case, every investigation is framed not as accountability, but as proof that Trump is being persecuted on behalf of his supporters. This is the con. Because while supporters are told to sacrifice, Trump never does. He flies private. He lives in luxury. He raises millions by claiming he is under attack. And the MAGA machine turns every legal consequence into a profit opportunity. This is not accidental. It is strategic. The MAGA narrative depends on one simple idea: if Trump loses, you lose. That emotional connection makes people defend him no matter what. Facts become irrelevant. Court rulings are dismissed. Evidence is labeled fake. And when reality clashes with belief, belief wins. Trump's latest messaging pushes this even further. He now suggests that any future election loss will automatically be fraudulent. This is dangerous because it plants the idea that democracy only works if he wins. That is not democracy. That is conditional loyalty to power. Meanwhile, real issues affecting Americans, healthcare costs, housing, wages, climate disasters, fade into the background. They don't generate the same outrage. They don't sell the same fear. So the focus stays on Trump. Always Trump. This is why critics argue the MAGA movement has shifted from political ideology to personal devotion. Loyalty is not to a platform or policy, but to a man. And that is exactly how cons survive. Because once people emotionally invest, admitting they were misled feels like betrayal of self. So they double down. They defend harder. They share misinformation faster. Trump knows this. Every time he claims, "They're coming for me," what he really means is, "Stay with me." And millions do. But cracks are starting to show. Former allies distance themselves quietly. Judges rule based on law, not loyalty. Voters grow tired of constant chaos. And the louder Trump shouts, the more desperate the message becomes. This is not strength. It is exposure. The MAGA con depends on endless conflict. Without an enemy, the movement loses energy. Without outrage, the donations slow. Without fear, people start asking questions. And questions are dangerous for cons. Because once you ask, who really benefits? The illusion begins to fall apart. As the MAGA con continues, the consequences are no longer theoretical. They are real, measurable, and deeply damaging to American democracy. Trump's rhetoric has reshaped how millions of people view truth itself. Facts are now seen as opinions. Courts are seen as political weapons. Journalists are labeled enemies. This erosion of trust didn't happen overnight. It was built, speech by speech, rally by rally. And it serves a purpose. When people stop trusting institutions, they stop believing in accountability. And when accountability disappears, power becomes unchecked. Trump positions himself as the only source of truth. Believe me, he says, even when evidence contradicts him. This is a classic tactic used by strongman leaders throughout history. Isolate followers from external reality, then define reality for them. The MAGA con also exploits identity. Supporters are told they are patriots, while critics are traitors. This creates an us versus them mindset where disagreement feels like betrayal. Once politics becomes identity, compromise becomes impossible. And democracy cannot survive without compromise. The real danger is not Trump alone. It is what he normalizes. He teaches future politicians that outrage works better than governance, that lies travel faster than policy, and that loyalty matters more than truth. This is the long-term cost. Even if Trump disappears from politics tomorrow, the damage remains. The playbook exists. Others can copy it. But exposure matters. More Americans are beginning to see the pattern. They notice how every crisis benefits Trump personally. How every attack becomes a fundraising pitch. How every promise shifts once power is secured. They notice that MAGA anger is endless, but solutions are vague. They notice that Trump never admits mistakes, never takes responsibility, never sacrifices comfort. And slowly, quietly, some supporters walk away. Not loudly, not dramatically, just tired. Tired of being angry all the time. Tired of defending the indefensible. Tired of feeling used. This is how cons end. Not with explosions, but with exhaustion. Democracy is messy, frustrating, and slow. But it depends on one thing above all: shared reality. When leaders attack reality itself, democracy weakens. Trump's latest MAGA con thrives on chaos, but chaos cannot govern. Fear cannot lead. And lies cannot build a future. The truth does not need shouting. It only needs time. And time is exposing everything.